You know, we've been together for some time, and I've been experiencing some kind of feelings that's changed and rearranged for the better. And I hope that you've been feeling the same way, and pray that you ain't running game. Hey, just what do you have to say?
As I sit here thinking about you, suddenly I feel ashamed.
You do?
The feelings deep inside me suddenly begin to change. When I see your face and hear your voice, I seem to lose despair. I get relaxed and overjoyed whenever you are near.
Hey, good evening and welcome to another exciting edition of Platter Chatter. So glad you could join us. That was Kwame bringing us into the show, and we're going to kick it off tonight with our first review, Jeff Lynne and Armchair Theatre.
We're also going to be listening to none other than Cameo. Their new album is called Real Men Wear Black. And last but certainly not least, we're going to listen to Scatterbrain. And what's the name of the album, Scott?
It's called Here Comes Trouble. I'm Scott Goldfein.
And I'm Melissa Simpson, and welcome.
That's right. Okay, Jeff Lynne, producer extraordinaire.
Absolutely. Traveling Wilbury.
Right.
Done some things on his own, produced George Harrison's last album.
He's worked with, well, the Traveling Wilburys together and separately, Roy Orbison before his passing.
Tom Petty.
Right, Tom Petty's a huge success on his last album. This is Jeff Lynne's first solo album, ex-ELO member, really the founding father and the main driving force behind that huge orchestral British rock band of the 70s. And this is his first album. We're going to listen to the first track and take a peek at the video, courtesy of MTV. And it is Every Little Thing, the single Jeff Lynne.
If your heart could talk, I wonder what it would tell me. If your mind could walk, would it bring me a love never ending? This I've got to know. I've got to know. No secrets anymore. You've got to tell me all your days have gone. I'm going to go. Now the time has come.
Hi, that was Jeff Lynne, his new video called Every Little Thing. You saw a quick 30 seconds of that. I'm sure that it would entice you to want to see more of it. It reminds me of the video game Cubert. You know, with the stairs and that little thing coming down the
Perhaps
stairs.
the visual style behind it was
Yeah,
influenced
yeah,
by
it's
spending a lot of
great.
time in the arcade. But Jeff Lynne, his sound to me, very Beatlesque.
Absolutely.
You know, it's got those kind of harmonies and the kind of bouncy beat to it, and simple yet complex, and certainly a throwback to years gone by, you know, musically speaking.
Well, you know, I think he takes the best of ELO, who I always admired, because I like an orchestral sound, but it's full. And I think he took the very best of the Beatles and the best of ELO and combined the two. The simplistic lyrics of a Beatles sound with the complexities of, you know, the orchestration behind his ELO background.
Well, you know, one thing about ELO, I was never a big fan of theirs. I thought they were very overblown and overdone and too grandiose and got out of control. Although I do have a couple of guilty pleasures by them, which were Evil Woman and Showdown, which was one of the real old ones before they got, you know, too carried away. But why don't you introduce the second track we're going to listen to, Melissa?
We're going to listen to another track off of this album. It's called Lift Me Up. You're going to be listening to Jeff Lynne.
Love is what I want. Oh yeah. And all you gotta do is bring it to me, baby. Talk is what I want.
back in studio listening to Jeff Lynne and that one called Lift Me Up off his Armchair Theater solo LP. That track, as well as a couple of other ones featuring George Harrison, of course, of the Beatles, and Traveling Wilburys, backing up on guitar and doing a little bit of the backup vocal. Some of the other people guesting on this album include Del Shannon, of course, before his unfortunate passing. And there's also Tom Petty does a co-writing credit on there. And, you know, Jeff Lynne records all this stuff apparently in his home. He's got a studio at home, and he likes...
studio at home. He's done it in the kitchen, the dining room, the living room, you know. Some things are done in different places, and he said he enjoys that. He said when he goes in the studio, he goes in the studio primarily to mix things together, but he thinks that the acoustics are more natural if you do it at home. Do you know where the name Armchair Theater came from, where that concept came from?
Oh, I heard it was a TV show or something.
Yeah, it was in England a few years ago. It was like a series of plays, and so I guess that's very fitting. I mean, if you're doing most of your recording at home, it's kind of like being in an armchair, you know, but you're doing this grand theater thing.
Right. You know what's interesting about this particular work? You know, it includes 3 cover compositions, a couple of oldies such as Stormy Weather and September Song.
Right, and also Don't Let Go.
Right.
Which was done, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was done by Elvis. And I know that it was done by Pat Boone. Pat Boone's rendition is not too great. I don't think his rendition of this is as forceful as it could be. I mean, it's okay, but I wish that it had a little more punch to it.
Okay, let's get to our ratings on Jeff Lynne.
I'm giving Jeff Lynne a 4.5.
4.5, pretty.
I think it's a very well written, well produced, exciting album, and I like it also because of the Beatles' influence.
Yeah, very Beatles-ish. Jeff Lynne, on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being best, I'm going to give him a 4. I probably would have rated it higher. I just had a couple of reservations, and that was that the record only checks in about 37 minutes, which is kind of short by today's standards, and considering that 3 of those are cover tunes, not a whole lot of original material there, and also some of it seems to be kind of similar throughout. The tracks aren't, a few of them aren't that distinguishable from one another.
True.
Although very well-crafted pop rock fare from Mr. Jeff Lynne.
And so what's your rating?
A 4.
A 4.
And we're going to move on.
I want to say bye. See you next week.